let's start at the very top. We're going to jump first into surveys. So surveys is a brand new module that you will see in Prospr inside of your menu. You can ask multiple different kinds of questions and set them up on repetitive schedules. So we've decided to do an employee pulse survey. Great. You can ask choose one, choose many, free form, and submit responses. Everything in Prospr now is in English and Spanish. Something kind of fun. If you have a language that is not English or Spanish that you would like to see in Prospr, we can do that now. Beauty of AI is language is now very easy for us to program. And so if there are things that you want, please let us know. Very similar to joint missions. We can decide who this goes to, and we can decide when, right? So maybe this is for my entire team and I want them to see it. Maybe I want them to get it every quarter. Maybe I'm using surveys for things like weekly inventory, or I want to quiz my team on a recent training. You can run many surveys at once. You can have different surveys for different groups. Everything, as always, is exportable to CSV for any sort of results. Surveys is a really fun way to get real-time feedback from your team. And that will be right here in your menu bar. Moving back to dashboard. One of the new features that I'm really excited about is this concept of quick links. So you can now add new links to Prospr that will take your team out of Prospr for the other things that they need. So for example, let's say I use Workday, right? Great. I can say, should this be available to the entire workspace? If it is it for everyone, for my admins, or just for my admins and managers? I'm going to say this is for everyone. Great. And now you'll see the Workday icon here. You can link out to absolutely anything on the internet. You can also put your own. So let's say, for example, I personally use Monday to track my own work privately, right? I can save that and it will just be there for myself, so that as I'm using Prospr throughout my day, Prospr really becomes the hub of everything that you do, and you can link out easily to anything else that you need. Additionally, on Bulletins, we are now introducing the concept of events. This is one that people have been asking for a really long time. So now one of the options when you create a new bulletin is to schedule an event. I can say, great, Prospr webinar. Let's actually use the one that we have down here. I can put all of my notes. I can add attachments. I can RSVP. Anybody who the bulletin goes to. So for example, if I'm bulletining to the entire workspace, everybody is invited. If I'm just sending a bulletin to a specific location or working group, those are the people that are invited to that event. Some of the really nice things about events, though, is that they'll then live on everybody's calendar. So when you post that event, it will automatically show up on your team's schedule, as well as an events calendar and my schedule. Things we've seen people do events for, in addition to the obvious, like today's webinar or a staff meeting that's coming up. We've seen people use events recently for, hey, we have a new sale coming up. We have a new location opening. Perfect. We're getting some questions here. Can you advise where to go for custom links? Absolutely. Darby, thank you. Can you show again how to get to the schedule? Yes. Okay. Guys, this is amazing. I love an interactive webinar. All right. So on your desktop, Shawanda, right up here, this plus sign is where you'll be able to add a custom link. Custom links currently are only on desktop. That is the one thing today that you cannot do on mobile. Everything else is both mobile and desktop. Did that answer your question? I hope. Awesome. And here's how you'd be able to get to your event schedule. So if you are using Prospr scheduling, events will live on your schedule. If you are not using Prospr scheduling, you will have a new tab here called Events, and that will be solely an events calendar. Haley, these should be available to everybody if you have those modules turned on. So the question is, are these functionalities available to everyone or based on your tier of membership? Quick links, everybody has, and the ability to create an event. You have, if you have bulletins and chat on. Without bulletins and chat, there is no events. Okay. Any questions so far that we haven't answered? Great. I'm going to show you guys another piece that is not entirely new, but people seem to have missed this. So inside of bulletins, you can now pull in people, resource articles, tickets. Everything in Prospr now works solely together. So for example, when I go to hashtag, what is a good resource for me, Lace?
Let me get you one.
Okay, we have anti-harassment training.
That's what I was gonna pick.
Okay, I've created my resource. I now want to pull it through. Hi, team. Make sure you see this. Hashtag anti-harassment training, right? Boom, there it is. Right, so everything can now link together. I can say thank you, Ray, for setting this up for us. And I can go and post. And when I do this and I link over, everything will link together and my team can easily get to the article that they're looking for. Beautiful. Okay. Moving right along. We have now talked about meetings and tagging. For people who don't know what this module is, this is our checklisting feature called Joint Missions. This is another module that you can turn on and off and set repetitive set checklist or one-off checklists like we're using today. Let's move into messaging. The three things we're going to talk about are admin mode, audit mode, save for later, and schedule send. So this is a big one that people have been asking for quite some time. Lace, I'm going to actually have you share your screen here because I think you have.
Some more threads or here, let me. All right. So in the messaging thread, I will just send something to Erica. So we see we now have this little time icon that gives us the wonderful ability to schedule this for a future date and time, whenever this is most appropriate to send to Miss Wasser. One of the other really nice things too is the ability to actually save messages that are coming to you. So once we have this concept of a save message in our inbox, we can always come back to it and action whatever that item may have been. So this is supported in your group threads, your one-on-one threads. These are for the moments when, again, something's coming across your chat. It's great that you know it needs to be done, but you can't handle it right then and there. So you can save it and again, come back to the save message folder. Clear it out as soon as you've had the chance to action it and keep that to-do list clear. Anything else you want me to highlight there?
Nope, I'll grab you back. And so
Beautiful.
that essentially, I think in feature requests, most people actually referred to that as send later or mark as unread so that they can come back to it later. So you're not really marking it as unread, you're saving it so that you can come back to it at a later time and execute it. One of the other new features that we have is this concept of audit mode. Audit mode is for admins only. Not all admins. You would have to assign whom you want to be an auditor, but you now have control to see every single chat that is happening between your team. You can search different topics. You have everything to export should you ever need it for liability and compliance purposes. But this is every piece of chat data that you have in your entire system. It's something that you do need your Prospr rep to turn on for you. If it's something that you would like to have turned on, just let us know. We are always happy to do it. But this is really a way for you to see and get a pulse of everything that's happening throughout your workspace. Any questions that you guys might have, please let me know. We've now done some schedule send. Boom, done. We've talked about surveys. Guys, we are half through, which is fantastic. One of the really fun things, if you do have joint missions turned on, is you're able to really see where your team is throughout the day, anytime you have tasks for them. Sure, can you show the save for later again? Absolutely. So all you'll do if you're in your mobile, you'll click hold. If you're in desktop, you'll hover to the 3 dots and you'll be able to choose save message.
We don't have your screen, Erica.
Oops. Okay. Are you sure? Said I was sharing.
Okay. Oh, never mind. Must just be me. So sorry. Continue.
Okay. So I can see that I've saved this message. And then any messages that I have saved are going to be in my saved messages inbox. Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Let's now go into some scheduling. We're going to talk about bulk editing. We're going to talk about the shift pickup queue, and we're going to talk about a new segmentation within time and attendance. So when you are in your planner and you have schedules, let's go. Oh my goodness, we are way back here. Unless what should you put a schedule in?
The top one. Beautiful.
Okay. So when you are in your schedule, obviously you do have the ability to bulk edit. I can now say, great, I want to take all of Lacey's shifts. Right. Unfortunately, Lacey is no longer with us. Just kidding. Right. And I need to replace all of the shifts at once that she used to work. I can now reassign them, or I can assign them to somebody else. I can bulk edit. I can bulk add tasks, publish, delete. And I'm going to take all of her shifts and I'm going to give them to Emily. I can see where Emily may have some shift conflicts. I can see how much I'm expecting to pay Emily. Let's see what George is up to. Well, we're going to give it to him anyway. Well, George is already working in other locations, and that's fine. I moved I switched users. So my Erica has to now take my survey. Okay. Some other features here. We now allow for you to create a queue for pickups. So what does that mean? Right now, if you don't have this checked, that means that when you release a shift, only one person can say, hey, I would like to take this, and then you can approve it or decline it. When you have allowed multiple people to queue for the same shift, that means a shift goes out. Multiple people can essentially line up and raise their hand and say, I would like to work this shift. And when you do that, you'll then be able to actually choose who can fit that shift. What this is really great for example, you have a primetime class and you don't necessarily want new instructors picking up at prime time, or you have a really high volume shift and you want to make sure that somebody who can handle that many covers can actually take that shift. It's a really nice way to have a little bit more control within swaps. It's also great for when I have spoken to Lacey in advance and I said, hey, Lacey, are you going to cover for me? Yes, I'm going to cover for you. That way, when I release the shift, Lacey picks it up and we're able to say, hey, manager, Lacey's going to work for me. And it's not just luck of the draw or whoever gets there first. We have a question of assuming that there are no job aids for this. Correct. I'm not sure what that means, but feel free to add to this in the chat thread. I'm not sure what a job aid is. Okay. Keeping it moving, we're going to move into time and attendance. One of the settings that you have now is to be able to choose which locations and which teams actually use time and attendance. So for example, let's say I'm using time and attendance amongst my Texas locations, but possibly not my Mid-Atlantic locations, or a more common use case is my front desk will clock in, managers may clock in, but instructors do not, right? So I'll be able to say, great, front desk, marketing and training gets time cards. My instructors are more on a commission basis and they're not clocking in. So we can actually get really granular on who's getting time cards, who is not getting time cards. And that can be found in settings, open, close. Shawanda, we'll discuss this offline because I'm not entirely sure what this means, but Lacey will reach out to you. Okay. We're going to jump now into ticketing. This is probably the area that has gotten the biggest facelift. We keep on calling this our Kris Jenner feature, considering in tickets. So this is one that people have been asking for a really, really long time, which is great. Every time I get a broken equipment ticket, I want it to go to a specific person or to a specific group of people. So I can say now, every time there is a broken equipment ticket, it goes to Lacey. Now that's if we want everything in the company to always go to Lacey. But I can also get more granular. I can say in Cinco Ranch, it goes to Ray. And if it is an HQ ticket for broken equipment, it's going to Pam. So I can auto route where things are going. If I have more than one person, maybe I have a maintenance team of a handful of people, I can say, great, I'm going to use ticket commanders. So Anna is going to get all of these sorts of tickets, right? And I can add multiple groups to the commander section, right? And so I can take my entire maintenance team and say, this entire group always gets broken equipment tickets. This entire group always gets contact HQ tickets. And so I'm able to be much more thoughtful about where things go when they have to be actioned. The next big piece is the concept of custom fields. So I can now create drop downs within tickets themselves. So they're becoming much more like forms that you can get very detailed information from versus just open forum. So I can say, great, I want to ask a yes, no, an input, a single choice, a multiple choice question, where this is really helpful. For example, if it's an inventory ticket, is it retail? Is it back of house? Is it a maintenance item? What is it? And then I can continually ask questions from there so that all of the information you're getting from your team at the time of reporting is really useful, really valuable. Last but not least, I now have the ability to require a photo so that it is no longer an option to submit different ticket types without asking for a photo. Any questions here, right? And so when I go to create my ticket, I'm going to do a broken equipment, and I can see this is automatically going to Pam because I am in HQ. Sync. No. Yes. Submit. Right. And so now all of a sudden, Pam is going to have this and all of the information that she needs. Pam can then add subtasks to tickets. Or tasks or action items that come out of tickets. Right. So for example, if I'm out of leggings, I might then want to say, okay, please order leggings. And when that is done, I can check them off. It's a really nice way to keep things actionable, a really nice way to get things to your team. And a lot more functional than what ticketing was prior, which was a little bit more open-ended. Last but not least, we do want to show off this one new area. So in your location tabs, you are now able to actually create a directory page for them and say, okay, the Wi-Fi for this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the password is CaliDog, exclamation point. The manager is Lacey Russell, and security desk 212-396-3456. I can include videos, I can include photos, I can include any sort of attachments about a specific location. If we include the address here, let's do I can create location contacts. I can add notes to locations. And what is going to happen now when I go into my resources, or to my directory rather, excuse me, my team sees where it is on an exact map pin. They can see who their managers are. They can call the store, and they're getting all of the information they need in one organized place. Okay. Yes, we can do an event again. Alexis, absolutely. And can you show us how to use the joint missions again? Absolutely. So joint missions, you have to have that turned on. So if you don't have joint missions in your account, reach out to Lacey, reach out to myself. You'll go to joint missions. Then you can create new checklists, new folders, everything from new hire onboarding to shift tasks to cleaning. They're set on a repetitive schedule. And then your team will literally simply check everything off that they needed to do that day. And that is a module within your menu bar. And for events, Alexis, are we ready? You're going to hit a plus sign. It is one of the options within Bulletins. You can also create events from chat.
This is one-on-one. Go to a group.
Oh, sorry. So you'll have this little event icon. And as Lacey mentioned, it is only in. Okay, so when you create a mandatory event, the event will automatically show up in my schedule. If it is a non-mandatory event, only those who RSVP will have it on their schedule. Yay! Thank you. We think it's amazing too. And I love that everybody's using the chat because I think it makes it so much more helpful for everyone to be able to see what everybody's asking. Surveys, again, are right here in your menu bar. You are welcome. As promised. Okay, Brianna has a great question. Can you use a survey as an end of shift wrap up? Yes, you absolutely can, because when you create a survey, one of the options that you have for when the survey is sent to your team is either when they open the app, before a shift starts, or at the end of the shift. So we actually see a lot of teams who are using surveys use them as an end of shift wrap up. That is a really great point. Thank you, Brenna. What other questions can I answer, everybody? I'm here for another, as long as you need me. But I did promise that I would try to get all of this out in 30 minutes or less. And somehow I think I've done it.